When Max Payne was released in 2001, it quickly became an instant hit amongst audiences, which was pretty significant considering multiple critically acclaimed and influential games like GTA 3, Devil May Cry 1, and Silent Hill 2 were released that very same year. But the main thing that made Max Payne stand out amongst its competition was the incredible implementation of the bullet time game mechanic, something that gamers all seem to agree was just sheer perfection at the time. But if there's one thing I can say Max Payne is lacking in, it would be the lack of some proper melee combat. You know, good old fisticuffs to face, falcon punches to the cojones, big boy kicks to the noggin. But thankfully in today's world, we have access to mods, and we have the ability to add such expertise to Max's mob-murdering arsenal of weapons with the Max Payne Kung Fu mod. Which now begs the question that everyone has been asking themselves for years at this point: can you beat Max Payne's New York Minute mode with only Kung Fu? Now the rules of the challenge are simple. All enemies must be exterminated by the use of Kung Fu only, and the difficulty must be New York Minute, which, if you don't know, only gives you 1 minute to get through each chapter with the ability to extend your time by getting different types of kills, a regular kill adding 5 seconds, headshot kills adding 6 seconds, melee kills adding 10 seconds, and explosion and vehicle destruction kills also adding 10 seconds. So I briefly went over the Reddit guide, fully breaking down how the Kung Fu mod works, and then it was time to begin my scientific journey into the unknown. As the game opens up to our main pill-addicted detective on the roof of God knows what building, we're already at the end of the game. But just like your average white girl living off her parents' credit card's Instagram bio will tell you, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey that gets you there. Flashback 3 years ago, and here we learn of Max's grim past and why he loves pills so much. After losing his family to some junkies hooked on a new drug, Max enters into the DEA hoping to crack open the secrets behind the new drug that led to his family's demise. With 3 years of investigating and undercover work under Max's belt, it was now only a few days before those opening moments of the game, and it was finally time for us to put on our big boy pants and go full Donnie Yen Jet Li mode. As we investigate the subway station looking for our undercover contact, I come across the corpse of a poor subway worker before encountering who I can only imagine is the killers, so I must do the only right thing and deliver my fists and feet to their face, taking out the first guy and then leapfrogging my way over to the second guy. And as we continue working our way through the subway, we try our best to become more acclimated with this Kung Fu system, which, if you can't tell, is a little wonky and the hit registration kinda sucks, but we kept it pushing and we beat the crap out of these guys. I take out the next few jabronis before collecting more drugs because we love them and finding myself a new dance partner. I talk with the transit police officer before he leads us to his own death. And then I just narrowly beat the doubloons off of these 4 dudes in the control room before we find more drugs and the power to the subway, which means now we can make our way to the next chapter. Or at least I thought so, because I haven't played this game in many years, and these last few dudes had other plans for me. So after that first painful death, we kept it pushing, we moved along, we beat the crap out of everybody in the subway station, and we were right back to the ending. This time using my newly acquired Kung Fu skills to completely dodge my enemies entirely to get myself to Chapter 2. As Chapter 2 opens up, we begin caressing more dudes with our sensual Kung Fu, and we continue looking for our undercover contact. As we fight along and narrowly break in and steal some C4 from these dudes that are inside of a vault, we blow a hole into the next subway room and finally come in contact with Alex, our undercover contact. As the two of us discuss the robbery we just witnessed from a notorious mob family, Alex is gunned down by a mysterious man. And just before we can get a good look at the killer, we're attacked by more guys curious as to what hand cream Max uses, so we go give them a close-up sniff. Finally making our way out of the subway, we make our way over to the Finito brothers for information, and they immediately reveal to us that they already are aware that Max is an undercover cop, so they attack us right away. And our first little mini-boss was no match for our pill-addicted detective, and we put down the Finitos, and now they are finito. We pop some more pills, and then I discover that the Finito brothers were hosting a mass drug deal of the new drug we've been investigating here in their hotel. But before we go searching, I have to open up a window because I farted and it smells really bad, and these mobsters were not thrilled about it, so they attack me with their boom boom sticks, so they have to be kung fu'd to death. I let these guys pass us before I murder my way through the rest of the hotel, taking out the next few guys with my kung fu mastery. Here we learn that Max is actually being framed for the murder of Alex. And that's a big no bueno for Max at that point. I continue delivering fists and feet to face as I extend my time limit. I then do this incredibly cool kung fu move that really had me feeling like Neo in the Matrix. But right after that, I come across a new weapon that I can utilize my kung fu skills with, and immediately after acquiring it, it was time to put it to the test. Interrupting what seemed like some naughty business, these guys couldn't believe the size of my stick, so I had to prove to them just how big it actually was. And this big fella really wanted a good look at my stick. The next chapter starts with us at the end of this block with no enemies nearby, so I frantically try to find people to beat up and extend my time as it ticks along, coming across these fine basement-dwelling gentlemen that called me bad names, so I had to deliver swift justice to them. And after that not-so-nice death from them, I decided that these fellas really needed to meet my big old stick. As we continue to murder thugs by way of kung fu, this one guy thinks he's real slick by tossing a grenade at me, before his second grenade ricochets off the wall behind me and then kills him. Which was totally my plan all along. After these meanies won't let me into their secret club, I murder my way to a junkie that knows the secret password to get me in. And when they start shooting, I start kung fuing. That is until this guy would simply not take damage whatsoever for some reason. On the next attempt pushing my way back to the fun club, I was able to deliver a big fat juicy kick to the guy's face before moving on to the next part of the chapter, which led me to this glorious scene right here.
Red, blue, or green?
It's always red or blue in the movies.
So, green?
No, not the green.
I keep on introducing new faces to my feet before we get up to our next mafioso man that needs to be put down, Vinny Gognitti. As our conversation goes south quickly, Max and Vinny shoot at each other with only Max hitting Vinny before Vinny sends his goons after us and tries to escape. So we take out the goons and we begin to chase after Vinny by following his blood trail. And eventually when we think he's cornered, he leaps onto the train car down below. So we have to continue after him by doing the same thing. And when he dismounts this train, all I gotta say is my dude really chose the wrong occupation. He really needs to be an Olympian with those types of skills. Look at that dismount. Even Max too, I mean, my god guys, perfect 10s all across the board. The entire next chapter has us chasing after Gognitti through various buildings and rooftops as he continues to send more goons at us and we continue to murder all of them with our bare hands. And eventually, after some sweet kung fu mastery, we are at our final little showdown with Gognitti, and he sends all the goons at his disposal at us. When we finally take out all the guys to get to Gognitti, he caves like a little baby and he tells us exactly where his boss is located, so we leave him to go make our way over to his boss's club. As we begin searching through this nightclub and working our way through the various sections of the seemingly never-ending building, I get my cheeks clapped a few times, while simultaneously clapping cheeks myself, eventually getting my little drug-addicted detective to this section where what looks like a satanic ritual just took place. Definitely not kosher. Looking around the room a bit, we learn that Vinny Gognitti's boss is a real sick son of a bitch. And as we approach this room with a curtain in it, enemies begin to fall from the sky. Here's where I also learned how to properly juggle enemies with my kung fu to really extend my time limit. And I wasn't actually too sure if I'd be able to kill everyone using kung fu here because there's guys all over the place and above us. But after a few tries and a couple deaths, I figured out that I can hide under these little overhangs while baiting all the enemies to come down and fight me. And it worked like a charm, honestly. And after that wonderful performance by yours truly, the curtains open up and the real show begins. Meeting Gogniti's boss, Jack Lupino, I can't help but think that this guy looks like the least scary mob boss we've encountered so far in the game. And we give him a proper Max Payne style greeting. And while we're beating up on him, look at his homeboy right here. What are you doing, bro? We're killing your boss. Step in and try to help. Why are you running into the desk, dummy? When we finally do put down Jack and his lackeys, we encounter an assassin by the name of Mona Sachs, who is actually the twin sister of the head of the mob family that we've been going after's wife. I know, a mouthful. She tells us that she's been hired to kill her sister's husband, Angelo Puccinillo, and she tells us that Angelo is actually responsible for Alex's death and Max's frame-up. And despite them now having a common enemy, Mona decides to drug Max to ensure that her sister won't get hurt during Max's ongoing rampage, and she makes her way over the Don herself. Going through our first nightmare section, Max is then awoken by a mobster currently beating the crap out of him with a baseball bat as he was captured during his drug-induced state. When that guy leaves to take a leak, Max is finally able to break free from his restraints, and we begin making our way out of the building. But instead of leaving right away, Max decided to get his cheeks clapped over and over and over and over again until I finally made my way to the next section, looking for my bat-wielding friend to deliver my fists to his face. As we continue to search for our little home run hitter, it leads us all the way back to the hotel from the very beginning of the game, and that same bar where no one believed us just how big my stick was. So I made it my obligation to prove to all these goons just how big my stick was, and to give this bat-wielding son of a bitch a taste of his own medicine. When we finally take out the Bat Boy, we encounter the Russian mob who is also at war with the Puccinillo family, and they tell us of a cargo ship bringing in tons of weaponry that used to be controlled by them and is now currently being controlled by the Puccinillo family. And if we want a real chance at getting to the Don, we're gonna have to help the Russians take back this cargo ship, so we head over to the shipyard. We begin going through the shipyard, and while I'm spreading the good word of our Lord with my fists, I get to this section where we have to control a shipping container crane to get to the next section, while snipers shoot at you from sniper towers, and let me tell you, it was not a good time. But I figured out that if I just kept dodge rolling side to side as best as I could dodge the bullets. And through plenty of trial and error, countless attempts, and many dropped soap type moments, I finally became a world champion breakdancer, and I made my way through this section. It wasn't too long after that moment that we found ourselves at the cargo vessel, and we were advancing onto the ship rather quickly, ready to murder the Russian Nicolas Cage from Lord of War. When we beat our man down, the Russians load Max up with a whole bunch of weapons as a thank you, and we head to the Don's restaurant to settle business. Except when Max arrives, it's an obvious trap and the whole place explodes in flames, and we have to try to escape to the sewers below. When we make it to the sewers, we begin beating our way through the sewer system, and we beat as many mobsters to death before we exit, meeting up with the Russians here again. They drop us off directly at Angelo Puccinillo's house, learning his top 3 killers, known as the Trio, are there protecting him. Knowing Max has a big fight ahead of him, we begin finally putting a stop to this mob family with our bare hands, quite literally. We start out in the basement cellars, eventually working our way to the kitchen area, and after fisting all the goons here, we begin working our way around the rest of the rooms in the house, taking out each member of the Trio with Max's Kung Fu Fury. Just before we get to the Don's room, we find a body of a woman beaten so badly that Max can't actually tell if it's Mona or her twin sister. And as our rage-fueled, drug-addicted cop is about to exact his revenge on the Don, special agents burst into the room, killing the Don and turning their attention to Max immediately. We beat the Men in Black to death before encountering the real villain in the story all along, and the new mystery woman gives us a large dose of the very same drug we've been investigating, sending Max into another nightmare section. Breaking out of the nightmare finally, Max remembers a place that the woman said right before he was drugged up by her, and he heads over there immediately. Here we begin punching our way to the truth, all while trying our best to dodge these annoying ass exploding lasers as well. And you might think that because these guys have big boy guns and are dressed like soldiers that they might be pretty difficult, and you would be correct in that assessment. I'll definitely admit that this chapter was a bit rough, mainly due to how many guys there were in general for each little section you enter. But regardless, just like Jojo Siwa keeps showing everyone how not to dance, I keep killing enemies with my fists, eventually making it to an elevator leading deeper into the facility. We incapacitate two guys that just set the whole building to self-destruct mode before we learn that this is actually the manufacturing facility of the drug that's caused all this hoopla. As we continue kung fuing along, we learn that the drug was originally created by the military to create a sort of super soldier, but the results were unsatisfactory, so the whole program got shut down. Until a certain someone decided to start it back up again in secret, doubling the dosage on all the test subjects and releasing them into the public directly in front of Max Payne's house 3 years ago. As Max escapes the facility after learning exactly what led to his family's death, he gets a call from his other undercover contact, BB, and he asks us to meet in a parking garage for more information. Fully aware that BB is betraying us at this point, Max heads there to confront him, and as we do so, BB's own gang of goons attack us, and we have to work our way down each level of the garage, taking out all of his men in order to get to BB. And besides a few guys, Max beats all the jabronis to death before trapping BB up against this pole and just absolutely giving him the business, man. After murdering our backstabbing bastard, we get a call from a man named Alfred Woden claiming to have a lot more information on our mystery woman responsible for all the drugs, so we go meet with Alfred and the rest of his inner circle group. They reveal to us that Nicole Horn is the name of the woman responsible for drugging us and getting our wife killed. She became the head of a very powerful corporation and kept the project funded in secret all by herself, while Max's wife, being an employee at the corporation, got herself a little too close to the truth and paid the ultimate price. The inner circle asks Max to take her out in exchange for getting all of Max's charges dropped, and just as this conversation ends, more secret agents burst into the room and begin shooting everybody. Max narrowly jumps out of a window and we begin working our way out of the building. And as we're beating people to death continuing our escape, we see a security camera that shows us Alfred Woden miraculously standing amongst the rest of the inner circle members' corpses, meaning this dude has so much more up his sleeve that Max didn't even think of. Then again, Max is addicted to pills, so that's not that surprising. We continue to put fists and feet to face as I push through and beat the crap out of anyone standing in our way of the escape. With all the new information come to light, it was now time for Max to have his final showdown with the wicked bitch of the East, and after we escape the Inner Circle's building, Max makes his way to Nicole Horn at the very same building we see Max at in the opening sequence of the game. After all Max went through to get to this point, after all the people he killed with his bare hands and feet, and after all the sweet, sweet pills we popped to keep the nightmares away, it was finally time to meet the boogie bitch, and we begun our final push. We meant absolute business this level. I was pushing through like an absolute madman, delivering fisticuffs to face like I was being paid to do so. It got so bad for the enemies that they were literally pooping out painkillers for me at certain points, which was very helpful if I'm gonna be honest with you. And after a whole lot of Knuckle Sammies, plenty of time stocked up, and some more sweet, sweet Matrix style dodging, I murdered the last few goons just narrowly dodging this dude's grenade launcher, and all I had left to do was use my kung fu bullets to shoot out these support wires and use one kung fu grenade to help bring the antenna down on Nicole's head top. And with that, we have complete Max Payne's New York Minute using only kung fu. Listen, anyone that watched it this far into the video, man, I just want you to know that you're a legend, and I greatly, greatly appreciate you. I hope to see you in the next one, and take it easy, you kung fu maniacs. Peace.